across Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, there are different races of people, if that's what you would want to call it. You have, of course, the Napon that expand across both Xenoblade 1 and 2, but in Xenoblade 2 you have different races like the Gormati, the Tantalese, and then in Xenoblade 1 you have divisions of Machina, Homs, and then Hyentia. Something I want to point out though is that there's a key 3 races in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, which is the Homs, which is represented by Noah. You have the Machina, which is represented by Lance, and you have the Hyentia, which is represented by Uni, and of course, the Nopon. So technically 4. And then in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, even though there are different races across the world of Xenoblade 2, like each Titan kind of has a race, right? You see Mio is clearly Gormati, and then Senna is a blade, and then Taion appears to be human. However, I think Taion is hiding a secret, because the big 3 in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that are different, right? I feel like the big 3 you would that are in comparison to Xenoblade 1 that they could be going for is you have Blade, you have Blade, then you have Flesh Eater, then you have Blade Eaters, which are humans that have been injected with a Blade's core crystal. Now, we have Mio, who based off of her core crystal is a Flesh Eater, because her core crystal is the exact same as Nia's. So she's a Flesh Eater, apparently. Senna is clearly just a Blade. Her core crystal is just right there. However, Taion, if you noticed, out of the entire group, Taion is the most clothed and conservative. Like Taion, we have seen the least of his exposed arms. We have never seen his chest or anything, which I guess you could say the same thing. Noah is kind of covered, but we know Noah's from the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 world, so he wouldn't really have a need to cover up that much, right? But specifically, Taion is being really conservative in his clothing, and usually when we see particularly people have parts of their body that they are covering up a lot, that could lead to a reveal. For example, Zeke had the side of his chest always covered until we found out he was a Blade Eater. And so I think that Taion could be a Blade Eater. Now, I think he could also potentially be a driver, but I think time has clearly passed since the endings of Xenoblade 1 and 2. I'm thinking weapons have developed, right? And since the weapon he has is something that other people in the party could use, that means it's not specific to him. It's not a blade weapon specific to him, because other people in the party can use it. As we've seen other people in the party, that's been the main one that they've been showing off that other people can use, being Taion's paper thing, right? So, what if Taion is Blade Eater? Now, I know I don't have the most concrete evidence for this, but I'm just thinking Taion seems the most secretive. He seems the most that we have to hide, right? Because Uni, we know she's going to have connection to Hyentia. We know Senna is a Blade. We know Mio is heavily similar to Nia. Lance is Machina. Noah is a Homs. So, Taion, really, we have no real clue where he is. I mean, could he just be a human? Is he just a human from the Xenoblade 2 world? That's possible, but I don't think that's where they're going, because I think Taion has the presence about him. He's clearly mysterious, and his connections to one of the commanders, I think that he's hiding something. I think Taion clearly has a secret. Of the main 6, I think obviously Mio has a secret, but we know Mio has a secret. It's clear she has a connection to Nia some way or another, but Taion seems like a secret that they're trying to hide a little bit. And so, yeah, I mean, we've seen Taion have a few, we saw him have a little bit of an emotional moment, I think, in one of the trailers. But I think Taion could be a Blade Eater if they're going in the sets of 3. Because in Xenoblade 1, again, Xenoblade 1, you got the main 3 being Hyentia, Machina, and Homs. And then in Xenoblade 2, even though there's some other things, I think the main 3 you can get out of that is, I mean, you could say human, but you would have Blade Eater, Flesh Eater, and Blade, right? I think that would cover like the main 3 different ones, because a human in Xenoblade 2 would be equivalent to the Homs in Xenoblade 1, unless we're going to learn about some distinct difference, which I doubt. But I mean, Taion could just be a human, so then that would mean that Noah and Taion are the humans of the groups, and then you have the other 2 off different races. But I think if we want to have a complete circle, or like a complete group of people that would represent Xenoblade 1 and 2 the best, I would think you would have Noah just be the plain human for everyone. Noah's just a human. You got Lance the Machina, you got Uni the Hyentia, you got Senna the Blade, you got Mio the the Flesh Eater, and then you got Taion the Blade Eater. And that would pretty much cover, I mean, we see the Nopon, what is it, Riku and Nene, so that essentially covers, I would think, everything in 1 and 2, and I think that's the direction they're going for. They want clear connections to 1 and 2, not maybe all the intricacies, but at least like the major ideas. And the major ideas in Xenoblade 2, the major like groups of people would be the Blades, the Blade Eaters, and the Flesh Eaters. I mean, that was the whole conflict with the Praetor. He was creating Blade Eaters and Flesh Eaters. We know that there was experiments. That's how Mikhail was made, because he was captured by the Praetorium. And then Petroka and Akos were also experiments from the Praetorium. So that was, I guess, the main 3 that were being used for evil in the I guess the plot revolved around those 3 groups of people specifically. And the plot the plot in Xenoblade 2 really revolved around those 3 groups of people, similar to how the plot in Xenoblade 1 revolved around the 3 groups of the Homs, the Machina, and the Hyentia. So I thought that was a fun theory I just wanted to discuss. I'm thinking Taion, he's like explicitly covering like most of his body, which Noah is too, but the way Taion's doing it, he specifically has a scarf and everything. It just seems like Taion is hiding something. I mean, everyone's going to have something to hide, but I think we're getting an ominous vibe from Taion, so I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that that's the secret he's holding, being that he's a Blade Eater, or something else. Maybe Taion could just be an alien. What if Taion's just a connection to Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then everyone who's saying Blade X doesn't connect is like, oh my god, Xenoblade X actually connects, right? Which is why I recommend watching all the cutscenes for Xenoblade X, because there could be something in here that's from X, but you didn't know because you didn't play X. Like, I'll tell you this right now, there's a scene in one of the trailers with a kid, Noah, in some sort of thing that could be a connection to X. And I haven't watched all the X cutscenes, but just seeing that, I know that it's a possibility. A lot of people are saying Xenoblade X is like its own continuity and could not connect to Xenoblade Chronicles. But I think if you really start watching some of the cutscenes, you'll see how it could connect. They could easily connect it in these games. And I mean, in Xenoblade 2, even though it was a non-canon DLC, they did have Elma in the DLC for Xenoblade 2 Torna. She was an optional blade, which means they didn't forget about Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's still very much alive. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll see y'all in the next video. Thank y'all for all the love and support on these videos. I will keep them coming, and I will see y'all in the next video.